I am not kidding. This yaoi literally gave me nightmares. Hey guys, it's Anne, and I recently read something that messed me up pretty bad, not gonna lie. I've never been good with horror. I'm kind of a scaredy cat since I was a kid. Even now as an adult, I can't take it. I really can't. It gives me nightmares. But the other day, I was scrolling through a forum and I saw this manga that kind of piqued my interest, and I regret it. I regret everything. It's called Feeding the Lamb. First of all, before I really get into this video, I just gotta have a quick disclaimer. If you are a child, if you have a weak stomach, if you are like me and can't handle gore in any way, shape, or form, please don't read this. And if I'm intriguing you in any way, please take my word for it when I say you're probably better off not reading this. Anyway, you guys have been warned, so if you want to proceed, go ahead in your discretion. Now let me tell you about this nightmare fuel manga that I will never ever read again, and I probably need to only read shoujo for a while to cleanse my soul after this. So this story that I guess is technically classified as a yaoi starts with our two main characters, Brandon and Andy. The story starts with Brandon saving Andy from being hit by a train. And in the process, Brandon gets grazed or like hit slightly by the train. So he becomes paralyzed and has the occasional seizure. The story then goes into the future with them being adults, and Andy becomes this very well-known, respected nurse, while Brandon becomes a shut-in because he can't have a job and his life has been kind of ruined since saving Andy. We later find out that Andy isn't as good of a person as the manga first makes him out to be. To be real, Andy's fucking crazy. He is a serial killer, he is a murderer. He is a murderer that ruthlessly tortures and rapes his victims before he kills them. I'm gonna explain what he does to his victims. It's kind of graphic if you don't want to hear about it, or maybe you just don't want to be spoiled of what Andy does to his victims. You can go to the timestamp here. Alright, to start off with what Andy does to his victims, he pulls out their teeth so that when he forces them to put their mouth on him, he doesn't get bitten. So you get to see him with the clamps grabbing the guy's head and yanking the teeth out one by one, and that part really freaking messed me up. And that's not the worst part. The next thing he does is, God, what is it? It's like a hot solder like knife thing. It's a knife that's like really, really hot. And what he does is he removes all the fingers on his victims as well. Each finger one by one. And because this knife is so hot, it like, what's it called? Cotters? It basically stops the bleeding because the skin has been burnt, and so obviously nothing's gonna happen. They're not gonna bleed out or anything. But then they're left without teeth and without fingers, which is really messed up. And then he tortures them, he cuts them, he removes limbs, he opens them up. He rapes them mercilessly until they're passed out, until they're bleeding. It's very graphic. It's very graphic, and honestly, after reading this, I couldn't get the images out of my head for a while. So I highly recommend not reading this unless this is the kind of thing you like, and unless you really like this type of gore. It's psychologically traumatizing for me. I just could not handle this. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, that's basically how he treats his victims. He rapes them and tortures them until they die. I'm not gonna lie, this manga really killed a piece of my soul somewhere deep down in there, and it's just really messed up. Anyway, let's get back to the story, because the story isn't about Andy and his victims. The story is about Andy and Brandon. You see, since Brandon saved Andy, Andy developed an infatuation for Brandon. He is in love with him, obsessed with him. So Andy's whole goal throughout this manga is to capture Brandon and to basically make him his sex slave. Now, that's the motivation of the manga. I don't think I should let you guys know more, because maybe some of you do want to read this, and I feel like if I told you more, I'd be spoiling it. But I will say this, the ending isn't a happy ending. It's an ending that honestly kept me up at night thinking about it, thinking about how terrifying it is, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm honestly too pure for this kind of thing. I couldn't stomach this. I could not sleep well at night because of this. This is the most horrifying yaoi I've ever read. I don't ever recommend me anything more horrifying than this one. I don't want to read it. I just want my pure fluffy yaoi, my pure sweet one. I don't need this in my life. I really don't. So if you want to recommend me some yaoi, I'll take all that fluffy sweet stuff. Anyway, if you want to read it, go ahead. I advise you that you don't, but if you really want to, go ahead. And yeah, that's it. That is the most horrifying yaoi I've ever read my entire life. And if you want to give it a go, give it a go. Anyway, that's all for today's video. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to talk about it, comment. And if you're feeling inclined to, you can subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again. Bye!